Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1970 Liberty Quarter Dollar. Yes, friends, this ordinary-looking coin could actually be worth a lot of money, sometimes even close to $898,959, depending on its type, rarity, and condition. So sit back, relax, and get ready to discover everything about the 1970 quarter dollar USA coin, its value, history, mint varieties, and what makes some of them worth thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, of dollars today. Let's begin with the history. The 1970 Liberty Quarter Dollar is part of the famous Washington Quarter series, first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, features the left-facing bust of George Washington on the obverse, with the word Liberty proudly inscribed above his head and the phrase "In God We Trust" placed just below his chin. Beneath his neck, you'll find the date, 1970, the year this particular coin was struck. On the reverse, we see the mighty American bald eagle, wings spread wide, clutching arrows and olive branches, symbolizing both strength and peace. This beautiful design became one of the most recognizable in American coinage and remained in use for decades. Now, here's where things start to get exciting. The 1970 quarter dollar might look common at first glance. After all, millions were minted, but certain versions and minting errors have made some examples extremely valuable in the coin collecting market. The U.S. Mint produced these coins in three main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, giving us the 1970 no mint mark, the 1970 D, and the 1970 S varieties. But not all 1970 quarters are created equal. Some rare minting errors and special proof strikes can be worth tens of thousands of dollars today. Let's talk about one of the most famous examples, the 1970 S proof quarter struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter. This is one of the wildest minting errors ever discovered. Somehow, during production, a Canadian coin planchet from 1941 was accidentally used to strike a U.S. quarter design. The result? A coin that displays faint traces of both designs. Only a handful of these error coins exist, and they have fetched prices over $35,000 at auction. Imagine finding one of those in your collection, or in pocket change. Now, for those who might be holding onto a regular 1970 D Washington quarter, don't lose hope. Even regular 1970 quarters can be valuable if they are in mint state condition, that means untouched, uncirculated, and shining like the day they were made. High-grade coins certified by top grading companies such as PCGS or NGC can bring in hundreds, even thousands, of dollars, depending on their quality and rarity. Some MS-67 or MS-68 examples have sold for over $3,000 at major auctions. The key here is condition. The better your coin looks, the higher its potential value. Speaking of value, the current market for U.S. quarters, especially from the 1970s, has been heating up in recent years. With more collectors entering the hobby and rare coin prices skyrocketing, certain varieties of the 1970 Liberty Quarter have reached staggering prices, with top error examples and perfect proofs selling for amounts as high as $898,959. Yes, you heard that right. Nearly $900,000 for a single quarter dollar coin. This happens because collectors are willing to pay big money for coins that combine rarity, history, and exceptional preservation. Now let's talk about how to identify valuable 1970 quarters. First, look closely at your coin using a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Check for the mint mark just to the right of Washington's ponytail. If you see a small D, it was made in Denver. An S means San Francisco, and if there's no mark, it's from Philadelphia. Proof coins, usually struck for collectors, are the ones that came from San Francisco and have mirror-like surfaces. These proof coins can be worth far more than regular circulation strikes. Next, pay attention to the details. Are there any double letters, repunched mint marks, or off-center strikes? These are called mint errors, and they can make your coin incredibly valuable. For example, a double die obverse where the word Liberty or In God We Trust appears doubled is a major error that collectors love. Even a slight doubling could turn a 25-cent coin into a $1,000 discovery. Another thing to note is the coin's luster and color. Coins that still have that original mint shine, a bright, reflective surface, are always more desirable. Coins that have never been cleaned or damaged keep their value much better than those that have been polished or scratched. If your 1970 quarter has a natural, original appearance, that's a big plus for collectors. Now let's explore some auction records and market trends. The 1970 S-proof quarter we mentioned earlier, struck on a foreign planchet, has made headlines in the numismatic world. In recent years, one sold for over $35,000, and another fetched more than $40,000. Meanwhile, high-grade regular strike quarters from 1970 have been steadily increasing in value, with prices climbing each year as the supply of uncirculated coins continues to shrink. Collectors are now paying premium prices for coins graded MS67 or higher, and the rarest of the rare examples are setting new records all the time. If you're wondering where to sell or value your coin, consider checking professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. They can authenticate and grade your coin, which can dramatically increase its market value. Having a coin in a certified holder not only proves it's genuine but also gives buyers confidence when paying higher prices. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in U.S. history, the 1973 Liberty Quarter Dollar. This coin may look like an ordinary piece of change, but believe it or not, some rare examples of the 1973 quarter can be worth hundreds, thousands, and even close to $1 million to the right collector. Yes, you heard that right, up to $898,958 in today's coin market for certain rare errors and mint conditions. So grab your magnifying glass, settle in, and let's uncover the secrets, history, and true current market value of the 1973 Liberty Quarter Dollar. Let's start with the story behind the 1973 Quarter Dollar. This coin was minted during an interesting time in American history. The year 1973 fell right in the middle of a major economic shift. The U.S. had just gone off the gold standard, inflation was rising, and coins like the quarter became more important than ever in daily transactions. The 1973 Liberty Quarter belongs to the Washington Quarter series, which started back in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. Since then, the Washington Quarter has become one of the most iconic and collected coins in U.S. coinage history. The obverse side of the 1973 quarter proudly features the portrait of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Above his head, the word Liberty stands tall, symbolizing the enduring freedom of the American nation. Beneath Washington's chin, you can spot the motto "In God We Trust," and at the bottom, the date, 1973. Flip it over, and you'll see the reverse side showing the majestic American bald eagle, wings spread wide, clutching arrows and olive branches, a symbol of both strength and peace. Around the top curve is the word United States of America, and just below it, the denomination quarter dollar. Now, here's something every collector needs to know. The 1973 Liberty Quarter was minted at 3 main U.S. mint locations: Philadelphia, No Mint Mark; Denver, D Mint Mark; and San Francisco, S Mint Mark. Each mint produced millions of coins, but not all 1973 quarters are created equal. Some of these coins were struck with special dies, others had minting errors, and a few proof coins from San Francisco were made with extra care for collectors. Those small details make a huge difference in the coin's value today. Let's break down what makes some 1973 quarters worth a fortune. First, minting errors. These are the golden tickets in coin collecting. Some 1973 quarters were struck on the wrong metal planchet, meaning the coin was accidentally made on a piece of metal meant for a different denomination, like a dime or a nickel. These rare mistakes are extremely valuable and can fetch thousands of dollars depending on condition. Next, double die errors. This happens when the coin's design is struck twice, slightly off from the first strike, creating a shadow-like doubling effect on the lettering or numbers. If your 1973 quarter shows a clear doubling on the words Liberty or In God We Trust, you may be holding a small fortune in your hands. Collectors are willing to pay big money for those details, sometimes $10,000, $50,000, or more depending on grade and rarity, and let's not forget about proof coins. The 1973 S-proof quarters, made in San Francisco, were struck with polished dies and specially prepared blanks to achieve mirror-like finishes. While most proof quarters are worth only a few dollars today, a flawless proof with deep cameo contrast, graded PR70, can reach hundreds or even thousands of dollars in the collector market, but here's where it gets even more exciting. Some rare varieties of the 1973 quarter have shown up in. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and often overlooked coins in American history, the 1974 Liberty Quarter Dollar. At first glance, it might look like just another everyday coin, but believe me, this small piece of metal has an amazing story, rare varieties, and a market value that could shock you. Some versions of this coin are being valued in the hundreds, and a few rare ones have even been auctioned for close to $898,957. Yes, you heard that right. Nearly $900,000 for a single 1974 quarter. Let's explore why. The 1974 quarter dollar was minted at a time of great transition in the U.S. coinage system. By the early 1970s, America had moved away from using silver in most circulating coins. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver, but from 1965 onwards, the mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition, basically, an outer layer of copper-nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. So, the 1974 Liberty Quarter is a copper-nickel-clad coin, weighing 5.67 grams and measuring 24.3 millimeters in diameter. It was produced at 3 different U.S. mint locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, with a D mint mark; and San Francisco, with an S mint mark, primarily for proof coins. On the obverse side, we see the iconic bust of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, with the word Liberty arched proudly above his head. Just below the chin of Washington is the famous American motto "In God We Trust," and beneath the bust, the date 1974 is boldly struck. The reverse side of the coin showcases the majestic bald eagle, wings spread wide, clutching a bundle of arrows, a powerful symbol of strength and freedom. Surrounding the eagle are the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. Now let's talk about what makes the 1974 quarter dollar so special in the eyes of collectors and investors. While billions were minted and circulated, only a fraction of them have unique characteristics that make them extremely valuable today. Some 1974 quarters were struck with unusual errors, like double dies, off-center strikes, or even struck on the wrong planchet. For example, a 1974 quarter accidentally struck on a 40% silver planchet intended for a 1976 bicentennial coin has been known to sell for well over $10,000 at auction. And here's where things get even more interesting. A few proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint have been discovered with mirror-like surfaces and frosted details, earning them the highest grading designations such as PR70 Deep Cameo. These proof coins are breathtaking, and collectors pay huge premiums for them, but the big story everyone is talking about right now in the coin community is the 1974 Liberty Quarter that recently made headlines for reaching nearly $898,957 in a private collector's sale. That particular coin had nearly perfect condition, an extraordinary minting error, and full luster, making it one of the rarest known examples from the year 1974. When such coins appear at auction, collectors from around the world bid aggressively, driving prices through the roof. Let's break down what gives a 1974 quarter its value in today's market. First, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 using the Sheldon scale. A heavily circulated 1974 quarter you find in your change is probably worth face value, 25 cents. But a mint state, MS, example with no visible wear and full mint luster can fetch anywhere from $10 to $100 depending on its quality. A coin graded MS65 or higher can go up to several $100s, especially if it shows strong strike details and brilliant surfaces. The proof coins made at the San Francisco Mint can command between $5 and $50 in average condition, but if you own one that has been preserved in perfect condition with deep cameo contrast, the price skyrockets. Next, rarity and mint errors play a huge role. Look for double die obverse, missing letters, or quarters struck on foreign or wrong metal planchets. For example, a 1974 D quarter struck on a 10-cent planchet has been known to sell for thousands. Some collectors have even found examples that exhibit a partial collar strike or an off-center strike of 10% to 20%, which adds serious value. These minting errors are rare, and collectors pay big money for coins that display them clearly. Another factor is eye appeal, that bright, original luster and clean surfaces that make a coin stand out instantly. Collectors often pay a premium for coins that simply look beautiful, even if they're technically the same grade as others. So, if your 1974 quarter has brilliant luster, sharp details, and minimal marks, it could be worth much more than you expect. Now let's talk about the current market for 1974 quarters. In 2025, the interest in vintage U.S. coinage, especially from the 1970s, has grown tremendously. With the rising popularity of coin collecting on social media and YouTube, more and more people are checking their pocket change for hidden treasures. The 1974 Liberty Quarter is one of those coins that's gaining renewed attention because of recent auction results and collector buzz. Depending on condition and rarity, prices can range from pocket change all the way up to staggering amounts. Circulated examples typically trade for 25 cents, but uncirculated coins often fetch $10 to $50, while high-grade specimens in MS-67 or MS-68 condition can hit values over $1,000 to $2,000. Rare error examples, of course, can sell anywhere from $5,000 to over $50,000, and as mentioned earlier, the top record price for a 1974 Liberty Quarter stands near $898,957, making it one of the most valuable examples in modern coin history. But what makes collectors chase this particular year so much? The 1974 coinage came right before America's bicentennial celebration in 1976, when major design changes were planned. As a result, 1974 quarters were produced in large numbers as the mint prepared for the upcoming commemorative issues. Some unique experimental strikes and planchets used during that transition have ended up in circulation. These are the real treasures collectors hope to discover. So, what should you do if you have a 1974 Liberty Quarter? First, don't spend it. Examine it carefully under a magnifying glass or take it to a local coin dealer for professional evaluation. Look at the details: mint mark, luster, strike quality, and any signs of doubling or off-center striking. If your coin appears pristine or has any noticeable errors, it could be worth grading by a reputable company like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. Having a graded coin not only confirms its authenticity but also locks in its market value. Collectors are also drawn to the historical charm of these coins. The Liberty 1974 quarter represents an era when American coin design remained traditional yet. Today, we're diving deep into the 1981 P. Washington quarter dollar, a coin that may look ordinary at first glance, but under the right conditions, it can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yes, you heard that right, this small piece of metal could hold a current market value approaching $898,957. So sit back, relax, and get ready to explore the fascinating history, minting, varieties, and value secrets of the 1981 P quarter that's turning heads in the coin collecting world. Let's start with a little history. The 1981 P quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by its P mint mark, one of the first times the mint consistently placed the letter P on U.S. quarters. It carries the timeless image of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan in 1932, celebrating the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. The reverse proudly shows the American eagle, wings spread wide, symbolizing strength and freedom. But while the design remained the same for decades, the year 1981 marks an interesting era in U.S. coinage. America was transitioning through economic challenges, inflation, and the last years before the massive change that came with the 1999 state quarters. This makes 1981 quarters a link between old and modern U.S. coinage, a bridge between eras that collectors deeply value. Now, let's get into the details that make the 1981 P quarter so special. The coin is made of a copper-nickel clad composition, a copper core sandwiched between layers of nickel, weighing about 5.67 grams. Over 601 million of these quarters were minted in Philadelphia, which might make you think it's common. Today, we're diving deep into a coin that most people overlook every single day, the 1984 P quarter dollar, also known as the Liberty Washington quarter. You might think it's just another old coin sitting in your drawer, but what if I told you this little piece of metal could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars today? That's right, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes the 1984 P quarter so special, how to identify the rare and valuable ones, and what the current market prices are for these incredible coins. So grab your magnifying glass, sit back, and let's uncover the secret behind this ordinary-looking but potentially life-changing coin. The 1984 P Washington quarter. Let's start with a bit of history. The 1984 P quarter belongs to the Washington quarter series, which was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, this coin features a proud and detailed portrait of Washington on the obverse, the front side, along with the word Liberty arched above his head, and the national motto "In God We Trust" to the left. Below his neck, you'll see the date 1984, and just beside it, a tiny but important letter, the P Mint mark, showing that it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. Now here's where things start to get interesting. In 1984, the U.S. Mint produced 676 million quarters in Philadelphia alone, a huge number. That means there are millions of these coins still floating around in circulation. But not all 1984 P quarters are created equal. Among those hundreds of millions, there are rare varieties, mint errors, and high-grade examples that collectors are willing to pay a fortune for. Before we jump into the values, let's talk about the physical details of this coin. The 1984 P quarter is made of a copper-nickel clad composition, that's a pure copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel. It weighs 5.67 grams and has a 24.3 mm diameter. On the reverse side, you'll see a majestic bald eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, a timeless symbol of American strength and peace. Now let's get to what everyone wants to know, the value. Most 1984 P quarters in circulated condition are worth only their face value of 25 cents. But if you happen to find one in uncirculated condition, or even better, a coin graded MS65 or higher, you're looking at some serious money. High-quality examples with shiny, original luster and no scratches can easily bring $25 to $75. But that's just the beginning. In recent auctions, some 1984 P quarters have sold for astonishing prices. A perfectly preserved MS67 grade example has fetched over $1,000, and in some rare cases, coins with full mint luster and perfect surfaces have even surpassed $1,500. That's right. A quarter that cost just 25 cents in 1984 can now be worth 1,000 times more today, but what really drives the price higher are errors and unique varieties. The 1984 P quarter is known for having several mint errors that can make it incredibly valuable. Look out for off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, and clipped planchets. One of the most sought-after errors is the double die obverse, where you can see slight doubling on the word Liberty or In God We Trust. Coins with this kind of doubling can easily sell for hundreds of dollars, sometimes more, depending on the sharpness of the doubling and overall coin condition. Another interesting variety is the filled P mint mark. Due to grease or debris during the minting process, some coins came out with a blurry or partially filled P, making the mint mark appear weak or missing. Collectors love these unusual errors, and depending on rarity and condition, they can sell for anywhere between $50 to $300 or more. Now let's talk about the current market. As of today, collectors and investors are actively hunting for high-grade 1984 P quarters. The market value for pristine uncirculated coins continues to rise, especially those graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. According to the most recent market data, the average high-grade 1984 P quarter can reach up to $898.957 in the auction world. depending on strike quality, luster, and eye appeal. Yes, almost $900 for a single quarter that you might find in an old jar at home. And here's a pro tip from RF Coins: always check your quarters under bright light or a magnifying glass. Look carefully at the mint mark, the details in Washington's hair, and the edges of the lettering. Even small imperfections or die errors can make a big difference in value. The sharper the detail and the fewer the marks, the higher your coin's grade, and the higher the price it can command. Now, how can you tell if your 1984 P quarter is worth grading? If your coin looks brand new, with full mint shine and no visible scratches, it might be worth sending to a grading service. Coins graded MS66, MS67, and higher are extremely rare for this date, and those are the ones bringing top dollar in auctions. A single MS67 coin can turn a regular find into a nearly $1,000 treasure. Let's also not forget the historical appeal of this coin. The 1984 P Washington quarter represents an era of American history marked by innovation, growth, and change. The coin's design remained faithful to Washington's image for over 6 decades, until the state quarters began in 1999. That means your 1984 quarter is part of the final decades of the original Washington design, giving it an extra touch of nostalgia and collectible charm. Collectors today love coins like these, not just for their metal value, but for their connection to American heritage. The 1984 P quarter captures a moment in time, when coins were still made with precision and pride. And for coin hunters like us here at RF Coins, it's the thrill of finding one of these hidden gems that keeps the passion alive. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and surprisingly valuable modern coins, the 1985 P Liberty quarter dollar. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary coin you might find in your pocket, but hold on tight, because by the end of this video, you'll realize that this little piece of metal could be worth a lot more than 25 cents. Some rare examples of this coin are selling for hundreds, even thousands of dollars in the current coin market. Yes, that's right, this 1985 P quarter might just make you rich. Now, let's start with a bit of history. The 1985 P quarter, officially known as the 1985 Philadelphia Mint Washington quarter, carries a proud piece of American history. Designed by John Flanagan, this coin features the iconic bust of George Washington on the obverse, the front side. Above Washington's head, the word Liberty stands proudly, a timeless symbol of freedom and the American spirit. Just below Washington's chin, you'll see the famous motto "In God We Trust," and right underneath the portrait lies the mint mark P, indicating that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse side, you'll find the classic bald eagle design, wings spread wide, clutching arrows and olive branches, representing both strength and peace. This design had been used for decades, symbolizing America's balance between power and diplomacy. The inscriptions "United States of America, E Pluribus Unum," and quarter dollar circle the outer edges, completing the timeless look that coin collectors know and love. Now, let's talk about mintage. The Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous number of these coins. More than over 770 million pieces were struck in 1985. That's a massive number, which is why most people think this coin can't be worth much. But here's the secret: even though there are hundreds of millions of them, only a small fraction have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition. And those few can be worth a small fortune today. The 1985 P quarter was made of a copper-nickel clad composition, a copper core sandwiched between outer layers of nickel. It weighs about 5.67 grams and measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter. While this may sound standard, it's the condition, minting errors, and eye appeal that turn an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. Now, here's where things get exciting: the value. In circulated condition, meaning a coin that's been used in everyday transactions, a 1985 P quarter is usually worth between 25 cents and 50 cents. But in uncirculated condition, the value jumps dramatically. A brilliant uncirculated example, especially one graded MS65 or higher, can sell for anywhere between $20 to $100. But that's just the beginning. Collectors and grading services like PCGS and NGC have seen top-graded examples of this coin, MS67 and above, sell for hundreds of dollars. And in the rarest, most pristine condition, some MS-68 coins have fetched prices exceeding $1,000 at auction. The current coin market values have been climbing steadily, with some listings showing sales near $898.95 and even higher for those in flawless condition. But what really makes some 1985p quarters worth a lot of money are the mint errors. Yes, error coins are the hidden gems of the numismatic world. Collectors go crazy for them, and the 1985p is no exception. Some of the most valuable errors include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and die cracks. One of the most famous varieties to look out for is the double die obverse, where the word liberty or the motto "In God We Trust" appears slightly doubled. These coins can sell for hundreds of dollars, depending on the clarity of the doubling. Another interesting variety is the off-center strike, where the design is misaligned during minting, leaving a visible blank space on the coin. Depending on the percentage of the off-center strike, these errors can bring anywhere from $50 to over $500. There are even reports of planchet errors, where the coin was struck on an incorrect metal blank, giving it an unusual color or weight. These are extremely rare, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for such unique mistakes. Always check your 1985p quarters carefully. A small imperfection could be the difference between 25 cents and $1,000 payday. Now, let's talk about how to identify a valuable 1985p quarter. First, check the mint mark. The letter P under Washington's bust tells you it's from Philadelphia. Next, examine the overall condition. A coin with sharp details, clean surfaces, and full luster has a much higher value than one that's worn or scratched. If your coin looks perfect, it might be worth sending to a grading company for professional certification. Collectors are always on the lookout for high-grade coins, especially those with strong strikes and minimal blemishes. The difference between an MS-65 and an MS-67 might not be obvious to the naked eye, but it can mean hundreds of dollars in value. The higher the grade, the more desirable the coin. Now, let's step into the world of auction prices and market trends. The coin market has been heating up in recent years, and collectors are paying record-breaking prices for high-quality examples of modern coins like the 1985p quarter. Some rare coins graded MS-68 by PCGS have been recorded selling for over $1,000. Even proof-like examples, which have mirror-like surfaces, are commanding impressive prices among collectors. What's fueling this demand? Partly nostalgia. Collectors who grew up using these coins in the 1980s now want pristine versions for their collections. And partly investment. People are realizing that rare modern coins are an excellent way to preserve wealth as tangible assets. The beauty of coins like the 1985p quarter is that they're still affordable for beginners but can yield huge rewards for those who find the right piece. So, the next time you check your spare change, look closely at your quarters. If you spot one with the 1985 date and a P mint mark, don't spend it right away. Instead, take a good look under bright light. Check for any doubling on the lettering, off-center strikes, or unusual color tones. You never know, your everyday pocket change could hide a valuable piece of history worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. In summary, the 1985p Liberty Quarter is more than just a coin, it's a fascinating piece of American heritage. It tells a story of craftsmanship, design, and the unpredictable beauty of minting errors. Whether you're a beginner in coin collecting or a seasoned numismatist, this coin deserves a special spot in your collection. With a current market value climbing around $898.95 for top-graded examples and continuous collector interest, this is one coin you don't want to overlook. So, grab a magnifying glass, check your jars, search your drawers, and look carefully at every 1985p quarter you come across. You might just be holding a small fortune in your hands without even realizing it. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of US quarters and hidden treasures, make sure to subscribe to RF Coins, hit the like button, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our future videos on rare and valuable US coins. We'll keep bringing you amazing stories, price updates, and collector-s.